Welcome back. We're going to continue the show that we're talking about how to find the right lawyer for you. My name's Nancy Hablitzel. I'm your moderator this evening, and my three guests are Jesús Pérez, Yasser Tabara, and Bonita Wang Cho. We were talking about how do you find the right lawyer, the good fit for you. And one of the things that we mentioned briefly was the possibility that you could check with the local bar associations to find out. We talked about the Arab American Bar Association. You, I think, talked about either the immigration lawyers or the Korean American Bar Association. There are many ethnic bar associations in Chicago, the Chicago area, outside, downstate, and so on. That would be one place to start. The others would be Chicago Bar Association, the Illinois State Bar Association, any other bar association locally where you happen to be for referrals. When you call them, what would you say?
Oh, well, first of all, you'd like to tell them what type of case it is. Sometimes people aren't sure what type of case they have, so if they give them a little bit of a description of the type of case they have, and then if they have any other special needs, maybe location, if they need somebody in the downtown area or the south side of Chicago or the north side of Chicago. Also, if there's any other special needs such as language, if you need a lawyer who can speak Spanish, for example, because your primary language is Spanish and you have difficulty talking in any other language. You know, those are the types of things that they may need before they can refer you to some lawyers who may be able to help you.
And of course, I would also say if you need disability access, let them know ahead of time,
right,
so they can make any
special needs
arrangements.
you may have, any special arrangements you may need.
And would you typically ask for 1, 2, 3, how many names so that you could, we talked earlier about interviewing people first. Would it be a good idea to ask for 3 people who might be possibilities and talk to them? Or how would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think at least 3 people would be a good number. You know, sometimes different attorneys fit well with different people, so you want to have a chance to call a couple different people and talk to them and find out what their background is, maybe what their fee structure is, so you can kind of have a better idea of, in that particular area, how maybe most attorneys handle matters.
And are there different fee structures for different kinds of cases?
Absolutely.
What should you be looking out for there?
Absolutely. Well, it really depends on the case. I mean, there are some cases that go for flat rates. Some lawyers prefer to do their work on an hourly rate basis, and there are certain kinds of cases that can be done on contingency basis, which means that if a lawyer accepts to take the case, then their compensation will be a percentage of whatever settlement or whatever recovery that they get from, you know, as a result of a trial or as a result of a proceeding. So these are 3 radically different, if you will, fee structures, and some of them only fit in particular kinds of cases, but it's very possible that you'll find, you know, the same kind of case that could fit in 2 or 3 of these structures, and then you would want to basically figure out which attorney you would be more comfortable with as far as the fee structure is concerned.
For example, in the criminal practice, lawyers are prohibited from charging on a contingency basis. We cannot charge on whether we win or lose the case. So most lawyers will charge a flat fee, or in some cases maybe an hourly fee, depending on the lawyer's experience, depending on the lawyer's availability. Different lawyers may charge a different fee. I would just caution against a lawyer who will take too little bit of money up front on a serious case. You know, sometimes people are looking just at price, and they may fall into a situation where they're paying what is considered a very, very low retainer, and you know, that goes to the thing, sometimes you get what you pay for.
But on the retainer agreement issue, I mean, I think that the client should take their time in reviewing it and understanding its terms. There are certain cases, for example, that go for flat rates. However, a lawyer would, or something would happen along the way where either the lawyer would have to withdraw from the case, or the client would not be comfortable going forward with the lawyer after they've paid the lawyer probably the entire flat rate. And so things like that are usually specified in a retainer agreement, where you'd know that after a certain amount of time passes, after a certain amount of services rendered, then the lawyer would keep the entire flat fee, or would return whatever is left from whatever they did not work on. So that's something that is very important for the client to actually know beforehand.
And I think it's okay for you to ask the attorney, how did you come to this fee? Why are you charging me this much? And most attorneys should be more than happy to explain it's because it takes this many hours of time. Because in my experience, this is what happens, and so I'm preparing to do this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
If the attorney is reluctant to tell you how they came to that amount, or they just, then maybe you should be a little bit cautious. Again, like Jesus said, a lot of times you do get what you pay for. So if the amount that they're charging, it seems very low, maybe they only have 1 or 2 years of experience, whereas another attorney who's charging a little bit more, maybe they have 10 or 15 years experience. So you have to keep that in mind when you're looking for an attorney.
And would it also be true that in the flat fee cases, that the more experienced attorneys might know more about what to expect when they set the fee?
Certainly.
Yes.
What happens in some of these cases, just for instance, if you pay a retainer up front and then pull out, shouldn't also, and I think you referred to this, whether you get any money back or not should be reflected in your contract?
Absolutely, and that's why the client should be very familiar with the contract, and things have to be absolutely crystal clear when they sign the contract. I mean, oftentimes you'll have clients that are blindly trust basically and sign on the dotted line without reading the contracts, and ethically lawyers should not really make legal service agreements overly burdensome for clients to read or understand. Usually they're a page or 2 or 3 pages long. There shouldn't be any fine print. There shouldn't be 10 pages long. If you see something like that, then another red flag. So I mean, these are the things that they should really look out for.
And how about using the internet to check up on lawyers? Can you Google them, or use Facebook, or look at law firm websites? What would you suggest?
Sure, that would be a good idea. Starting point is the Illinois ARDC, which their website is iardc.org, I believe. And to check, first of all, if the person you're talking to is a lawyer.
Right.
Unfortunately, there are a number of offices out there that, especially in ethnic communities, who put themselves out as legal services offices of some sort or another, and there's no lawyer working there in that office. I am skeptical a lot of times of offices that don't put the lawyers' names very obvious, either on the door or the name of the office, or on business cards or something of that nature. So you know at least the name of the lawyer. And if you look on the website, you can type in that lawyer's name, and it'll tell you if that person is a lawyer. If they don't appear on that website, it's because they're not a lawyer.
And also tell you whether they're in good standing.
Tell you whether they're in good standing. Tell you whether they've been disciplined in the past.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, some of these offices also put people working in those offices who are not lawyers, but they don't tell you that they're either an assistant or a paralegal or even a secretary.
And I think we see this particular problem, and I think Benita can speak to that, especially in the immigration context, where you have a lot of notarios that hold themselves out to be attorneys, fully licensed attorneys, and more often than not, we've seen, for example, my office has received cases that have been severely damaged, irreparably damaged, if you will, reversibly damaged by notarios who basically gave the wrong advice. And in an immigration context, that could be very, very sensitive, where they could be eligible for a certain kind of relief, and then all of a sudden, they're out of luck, basically.
Yeah. It's not just a matter of filling out papers. Every little thing that you put in your application may have some kind of legal ramification in your case. So it's very important to have an attorney working on the case.
And someone who's experienced in that area.
An experienced attorney in that specific area, right.
Actually, but that also takes me to another area that combines both criminal and immigration. Another aspect of mishandled cases that we also receive are basically immigration cases that have received the wrong advice from an immigration attorney that have, certain criminal ramification. And so, a lot of immigration attorneys, in order for them to be good immigration attorneys, have to have a certain amount of knowledge on the ramifications of criminal law and immigration law. And I think more often than not, especially in the notarios situation, you will have people given immigration advice without any basically understanding of criminal law, and that has very severe ramifications.
My standard advice to people is if you go to an office and they have neon lights that say notary or notario público, don't walk in there because that really doesn't mean anything to advertise. They're really trying to portray that they're something that they're not if they have big neon lights that say notario público. That's nothing to do with being a lawyer or being a legal office, and that's a major red flag for me.
And that's based, as we said before, on the differences in the culture.
Yes.
That's
yes.
The traditional
I'm sure that notarios are good for certain things, but what we're talking about is exactly.
You notarize a document. You're
That's
basically
exactly.
a witness. You're basically a witness to a signature. You can take the person's oath, and that's all.
Exactly.
You don't need any legal training whatsoever to be a lawyer, and having a notary seal or stamp doesn't entitle you to practice law or give legal advice.
Thank you. That just sort of sets it out. I just want to repeat the ARDC website just one more time is iardc.org, so that people can check out if they want to make sure that their lawyer is a lawyer in good standing. And I think that the idea that just to be able to look at referrals from other people and look at all these websites and not being afraid to ask more than once. Thank you all very much for coming. I want to thank all of my panelists this evening, Jesús Pérez and Yasser Tabara and Bonita Wang Cho. Thank you very much for being with us and helping our audience decide how it is that they could go about finding the lawyer who would be right for them. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. This has been Illinois Law, brought to you by the Illinois State Bar Association. My name is Nancy Hablitzel, and I want to thank you for being with us this evening.